Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the HDFC Securities webinar. Today, the topic of discussion is finding opportunities in the IT sector during the fourth industrial revolution. With us, we have two experts of the IT sector. With us, we have Apurva Prasad, who has been tracking the IT sector for the past 10 years and is with HDFC Securities for the past 4 years. And we have Ankit Chandra, who has been tracking IT for the past 11 years and is with HDFC Securities for the past 5 years. I'll hand over to Apurva.
Yes, hello everyone. So it's good to be interacting with everyone on this platform. So let me just probably start by bridging the title of the webinar with the overall IT sector. So Klaus Schwab has very rightly called it the fourth industrial revolution. TCS calls it Industry 4.0. Accenture calls it something similar. Essentially, this revolution is expected to be the most disruptive as compared to the previous industry trends that we have seen. What it's doing is it's creating completely new dimensions, be it in terms of distribution, supply chain, adding new revenue lines, cost optimization, and that's really the big change. So we are talking about massive changes around technology such as AI, machine learning, IoT, robotics. So I think these have been some of the very big drivers leading to that change. I think the biggest impact is of these technologies is visible in globally in the big tech, and we're talking about the FAMGA stocks really, who are at about 6.5 trillion market cap, and they have pretty much gone about 4x, 5x in the last 5 to 6 years. So pretty much added 2 times, the Indian market cap, and on a very decent profitability of about $160 billion. What that does and what it means for the Indian IT companies is again a massive opportunity. So before we just get into the opportunity part of it, let's look at the track record. If you look at the past 10 years, you're talking of Indian IT companies who have gone about 3x in revenue in dollar terms, about 4x in INR terms, and profits which have also gone up by about 3.5, 4 times over this period. So that's how the last 10 years have been. The next decade is going to create massive opportunities, and as we're looking at it, the fact that the overall technology consumption is going to rise tremendously across industries as software eats the world, famously said by Marc Andreessen. So that's happening as we speak, and the lines between industries and technology is really being blurring. So how do you identify a technology company and how do you identify an industry? And that's the biggest ever tailwind that we see for the Indian IT companies. So the overall technology spend as a percentage of revenue is expected to grow exponentially. That will be the big tailwind for the Indian IT companies. The second big factor is the competitive advantage versus large global peers. So just to give some numbers, over the past 15 years, if you look at the top 10 global IT companies, an Indian top 4 would contribute about 26% of it today. This number was at about 5 to 6% 15 years back, and they have been gaining market share across cycles. So be it pre-GFC, post-GFC, the digital era. So there has been consistent gains of market share across cycles and a very, very strong competitive advantage, which has been further augmented by the overall services bouquet that the Indian IT companies have. So that is expanded in a very, very positive way. So I think these are some of the major factors which provide a good headroom for growth. And there are individual aspects across client sets, across multiple verticals in which they operate. There are multiple demand drivers. So the way we see it in terms of demand is post the near-term impact, economic impact, which is being faced by the industry. We expect the sector to bottom out this quarter, and demand is expected to revive from next quarter. That's what we're building in. We expect margins to bottom out the next quarter, and we expect a complete recovery third quarter onwards. So that's something that we are building in our estimates. We do have a very, very positive and a constructive outlook on the sector. Now, to talk on some of the other aspects of the sector, supply, and some of our topics, I would like to hand over to my colleague Amit Chandra. Amit, over to you.
Uh, yeah, thank you, Apurva. So as you have highlighted, what the market share gains have been for the sector, and the recovery in demand is actually going to be there in the second half. So I will actually take you through the margin trends of the sector. So how they have done in terms of margins. So if you see the EBIT margin trend for the top 5 Indian IT players, they have been trending downwards slightly and has been in the range of 20 to 23% over the last 5 years. In fact, it has come down from 22.7% in FY15 to around 20.5% in FY20. So we have to see what are the factors which have been impacting the margins for the sector. So one of the factors is the shift to the on-site, because most of the engagements that the IT companies have been winning, it was on-site heavy, and they have actually increased their localization in the US, and for that investments are required. And if you see the localization levels for like the top names, it is ranging in from 60 to 70% locals, and they have invested a lot in on-site centers, and there has been an increase in the on-site wages in the last 3-4 years due to the H1B restrictions, and the spike in the H1B rejections in the last 3 years. And also the IT companies have been spending a lot on like on the retraining of the existing employees for the for the digital capabilities, and also the regular wage high the regular wage hikes that were there. So these were the factors which were impacting the impacting the margins over the last 3-4 years. And what we have observed is that currency is the most important factor in terms of supporting your margins. So in the last 10-15 years, currency every year has depreciated by 2.5-3%, and as a thumb rule, for every 1% depreciation in currency, the margin the margin expands, or the EBIT margin expands by around 25 to 30 bips. So in that sense, the currency has actually supported the margins. And the another trend that we're seeing is the increase in offshoring now with the work from home scenario. The advantage that the IT services companies have, that they can do a lot of fungibility in terms of managing the resources, and the work that was shifting to on-site, that can be shifted to offshore location. So that again is a margin lever. So you know uh, like in the near term, as Apurva said, we are seeing recovery in demand, but also based on the impact that the sector had in FY21, their margin profile has been mostly resilient. So the reasons for that has been the recent currency depreciation. So the currency depreciation has been in the range of 5.5-6%, which is like supporting margins. So and and a lot of cost saving measures that the IT companies have taken in terms of cutting the travel cost, like the reduction in the variable cost, and the lower subcon expenses, like the deferral of the wage hikes, and obviously offshoring. So these are the you know the near term levers. And also the most talked about thing in the recent past has been the H1B ban that the Trump administration has taken into account, wherein the fresh applications for the current year will not be allowed till like December. So based on our estimates and our interaction with the companies and the experts, we feel that this H1B thing will not have any material impact on the margins in the near term, because anyways the IT companies, their dependence on H1B initial applications has been very, very low, and they have been mostly dependent on the continuous applications. So in terms of the total application exposure, out of 85,000, around 15-16,000 applications are from the IT services players. So we think that the H1B thing is mostly an election rhetoric, and things will change like post the election results in the US. And in an election year, we see some kind of things or restrictions on the H1B in every election year. So in terms of the margins or in terms of the near-term impact, we don't think that it's going to impact the existing project. Like for the IT services companies. And like to sum it up, for FY20 we see like recovery in the second half, and we don't see much impact on the margins. In FY22 we expect the sector to recover back to the industry growth levels, and the margins also to bounce back. So based on that, we have been recommending Infosys and SCL Tech from the Tier 1 IT pack. And in the pecking order, Infosys, SCL Tech, like Tech Mahindra and Wipro. So we have been reduced on TCS only on valuations, and in the mid cap bucket we like L&T Infotech and Mphasis. So L&T Infotech has been our preferred pick since the last 1.5 2 years, and it has done extremely well on all counters. So L&T Infotech remains our preferred pick in the mid cap space. And in the small cap, we like Sonata and Majesco. So that's all from my side, and I will pass over to Payal.
Thanks, Apurva and Amit. That was a very insightful brief about the IT sector. I think we can now open the floor for a question and answer. And we have a question coming. There's one question we have, Apurva and Amit. You can choose who to answer. Which is the great players in the lot? Who are the great players in this lot?
Yeah, so let me take a dig at that first. If you look in terms of historical track record, if you see in terms of, if I look at, let's say the past decade, the last 10 years, within the larger companies, it has been TCS, which has been more consistent in terms of its overall delivery and growth. That's how it's been, and that's probably one of the reasons that it does get premium valuations. We also ascribe premium valuations to TCS. So I think that is something which is probably will be up in terms of quality. If I have to rank the pecking order purely on quality aspects, and I'm not referring to our pecking order in terms of recommendation. So the quality order would be TCS, followed by Infosys, followed by HCL Tech, and then Wipro. So that's really our pecking order.
Okay. In continuation of this, Apurva, I was really keen to know, in the last 15 years, Indian IT companies have really outperformed their global peers. So how have they managed this, and how do you see this going ahead in future?
Yeah, so I mean, just to give you some stats, Indian IT companies have in the last 5 years, they've gained more than 80% of incremental business. If you look in terms of what the top 10 service providers generated over the past 5 years, and Indian IT was just about 20% of the overall pool at the beginning of that. Over the past 15 years, if you see, Indian IT has taken up more than 50 to 60% of the overall incremental growth over the past 15-year period. And I'm talking about large companies and incumbents such as IBM Services, DXC, more dominant Europe names such as Capgemini, Atos. So it's been versus that. So I think the only real competitor globally which stands tall versus the Indian IT companies has been Accenture. Even Cognizant, which used to outperform, that has come off quite significantly. But yeah, I mean, the key advantages, I think, which continues to be is pricing and the overall delivery aspect for the Indian IT. I think that supersedes some of the other advantages. What has also happened is that subsequently the overall services suite has improved significantly. And if you look in terms of the overall services capabilities in digital technologies, I think many of the Indian IT companies start featuring in the top 5, top 7 vendors. And this was not the case earlier. So it's been a lot of investment. So there has been a lot of reskilling of employees that has gone into it. There has been a major rejig in the overall partner ecosystem, which has happened over the past few years, from just focusing into in SAP and Oracle, they have gone and looked at partners such as and invested in with partners such as a Salesforce or a Workday or a Pega, Adobe, to name a few, and that's how they have managed to
Ahmed, do you want to add something to this? I think we have a weak connection from Apurva.
Yeah. So, just to sum it up, the Indian IT service vendors have actually scaled up, quite well in the last like 2-3 years, and that is also visible in terms of their partnership, the ecosystem that they have actually developed in terms of capability. They have scaled up, and being a like regional player, they all have become, mostly, large like global players, and have been competing to, Accentures of the world, and they have been ranked pretty well in terms of the industry analyst. So if you see the rankings of like Infosys, TCS, Wipro, the top 5 vendors for Indian IT, they have actually scaled up pretty well in terms of the Gartner's ranking, in terms of HFS ranking, in terms of the ISG ranking. Now, so we have been tracking that, and that actually tells you the story that they have become like competitive globally, and also like pricing along with quality. So earlier, the only advantage the Indian IT players had was on pricing and the offshore model that they had. But right now, with the shift to on-site and with like all the transformation projects, that advantage along with a pricing, pricing advantage in terms of better pricing. So that actually makes a very good combination, and that is visible in the market share gains that we had in the last 4 years, where the Indian IT players were suffering from the erosion in their in their this thing legacy, the legacy part of the business. So in that also, the incremental market share versus the larger players has been in the range of 83%, which is very, very commendable. So we think that Indian IT players have become very competitive, and in terms of pecking order, yeah, like TCS, Infosys, SCL Tech, and like Wipro. Like these are the 4 names.
Okay. Thanks, Ahmed. Ahmed, also, how do you see the margin outlook for the sector overall, including the biggies like
Yes. So
Infosys and others?
yeah, so as I said, the margin is not a very big concern for the sector in this, in this time of the crisis, because the IT companies have a lot of margin levers that they can utilize to like protect the margins. Those, like currency is like, the factor uh, uh, which is the a factor which is improving your margins to the extent of 100 bips. So the thing is, in this time, if we would have taken everything constant, then a 5 to 6% fall in the revenues would have impacted the sector margins by around 400 bips, right? So we are expecting only margin decline of 60 bips. So the incremental margin benefit that we're getting is from like currency, from from the travel cost. So travel cost is around 4 to 5% of the IT services revenue. So if we assume like 50 to 60% drop in like travel also, then also you end up saving 150 there. Also, in terms of in terms of cutting the variable cost. So variable cost is also a very large proportion of this, the salary cost, which is around 15 to 20%. So in that, if you like restrict the variables, then also you end up saving, right? So like all these factors combined, these will provide around 350 bips of margin benefit. So the overall impact on the sector will be 60 bips, and for the for the larger ones, it will be mostly in that range, only 60 to 100 bips. So the margin impact will be higher for TechM, wherein they have more supply related factors versus the larger ones.
Okay.
Yeah.
Apurva, also, how lately now, since a lot of companies are, insuring their operations, how much risk do you see in terms of insourcing?
So, I mean, there is always this insourcing or captive wave that takes place every 3 to 4 years. There are spikes in that. Uh, yeah, so it was a concern maybe a couple of years back, especially on the BFSI side. I think as much as till last year that used to be a concern. I think what's happening is it's going to create some consolidation opportunities. Uh, so there are, I think, more than 50 or 60% of the captive operations are sub 500 employees captives. So there is, and they're not as efficient as some of the larger ones. So what we are hearing is a lot more discussions about consolidation and takeover of many of these captives, and that will become big opportunity. In fact, in the near term, a lot of growth is going to be a function of consolidation, and which is where tier one and larger companies will be benefiting because of having a bigger share to take from the tier twos and tier threes. Because in the current environment, as enterprises look to optimize their cost, instead of ad hoc price cuts, there are three ways really how that functions. One is the price volume compression, which is mostly happening in the highly impacted verticals such as travel, hospitality, energy. The second option is, and what is more sort of rampant, has been deferral of deals, new deals, and that is something which has created this near-term impact and the near-term revenue decline. And the third aspect is the opportunity that they get from consolidation of the smaller vendors, and I think that will probably be a big opportunities. So captives, I don't think incrementally is going to be a challenge now. In fact, it will be a net opportunity for the Indian IT, especially the larger ones. You're not audible.
Yeah, you can't hear you.
Yeah.
Am I audible now?
Yes, you're audible.
Yeah. So, Apurva and Amit, in case of Internet of Things, who do you think are the leaders, and what would be the future prospect there?
Yeah, so IoT, I think there is very good leadership. So TCS does have a very large practice. HCL Tech also has a very big practice. So I think companies who are more on the manufacturing side of the business, on the ER&D side of the business, there is a lot of investments that has gone into sensor-based technologies, and making many of these machines smart. So I think that's pretty much in the domain of ER&D companies. That's also a sub-segment within the IT companies. So that continues to be a big opportunity. The consumer end of it is the wearable side of the technology, but there is an industrial side of IoT which is still pretty much in the nascent stage. So the overall legroom for growth is massive. If you have to break really what is a segment which is going to be giving the highest sort of impact, I think it's going to be cloud. And there are multiple overlaps if you look, be it IoT, be it blockchain, and many other technologies. But cloud by itself, whether it is movement to shift to hybrid cloud or just the opportunities that you're getting from hyperscalers such as the likes of an AWS, Azure, or Google Cloud, I think that's massive. Just the three itself, the services ecosystem itself makes up for about $100 billion. And that's the kind of annual opportunity we're looking at. So I think cloud will be the biggest driver. AI, machine learning also right up there, and IoT certainly, but then it's more relevant from an industrial ER&D perspective. It does have a lot of opportunity, I would say. And HCL Tech and TCS, I believe, would be probably at the top end of it.
Okay. We'll take the last question, Amit and Apurva. We have seen in the last few months that a lot of mutual funds have been adding IT stocks. In the past, after every financial crisis, we have seen some sectors shining out bright and becoming the favorites of the investors. Do you think it is the right time for IT now onwards, and how should one look at it from what sort of time horizon? And is it the time to, be overweight on the sector, or how do you look at it?
Absolutely. In fact, this is the time to be overweight, not just overweight. I mean, we have been constructive. We came out with a very positive note, and we're probably lucky to get it out at the time of, when markets were close to the bottom, if I can say that, sometime around March. We sort of extended our optimism now. The fact that you're looking into a probably decent period of uncertainty and you want to bet on a sector which has got a very strong record of not just gaining market share, but consistently, generating the kind of cash that it does, to the extent of 80 to 90% of its profits. And that's been a consistent play. And plus, they've started paying out most of it that they've been generating because the capital requirements are very minimal. So businesses with very minimal requirement of capital, very high capital generation, very strong on governance, management pedigree comparable to the best in the world. I think these are some of the aspects which provide a good protection and predictability to one's portfolio. And I think which is why the reason that one should have a decent contribution of IT in their portfolio. So while the weightage is, I think, about 14 to 15%, I think there is still scope for mutual funds to probably go even more equal weight. There are still funds who would probably sub that number. So I think the scope for it to add predictability to your portfolio, I think that is an important factor. And as we move ahead, the value that one would ascribe to aspects such as cash flow and balance sheet, I think would increase. And I think one has to also realize that while optically it may just look like a 7-8% CAGR growth profile, and we're in an economy that does probably value growth more. Let's not forget that these are 7-8. I mean, it's growing above nominal GDP growth rates of the end customer base, and I think that's terrific. I don't know many industries which can consistently grow above nominal GDP at the end customer base for long periods of time and hold margins despite the fact that currency has not been depreciating at the same rate. It used to depreciate 4 to 5%. It's depreciating just 2 to 3% these days. So I think, yes, we most certainly are positive. But at the same time, we have mentioned our pecking order. I think that's how our preference would be.
Thanks a lot, Amit and Apurva. You have really shared quite an insight on the IT sector, and I'm sure a lot of doubts have been cleared. We can always get back since teach you all with all further queries. Thanks everyone for joining the webinar. Have a great time.
Thank you. Stay safe.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you everyone. Yeah, bye.